Welcome to this first look and impressions video for the new to console Construction Simulator 3 with me, MrSealyp, today. The reason I'm doing this, I normally do farming simulator videos. I'll do other things as well, but mainly farming simulator videos, and I thought there was quite a bit of crossover on this because there's a lot of bits of machinery that you kind of use on farming simulator, but this kind of goes obviously into the construction area. According to the press release from Astragon, it says, true to the slogan "Get to Work," Astragon Entertainment and Weltenbauer SE are happy to announce the official release of Construction Simulator 3 Console Edition. Following the great success of the popular mobile version of the game, construction enthusiasts can show their skills at controlling heavy machinery, now also on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Another implementation of the game for Nintendo Switch will follow later this year. Within the European-based setting of this exciting simulation game, players get to access more than 50 officially licensed vehicles and construction machines by well-known and popular brands and manufacturers, such as Caterpillar, Liebherr, Case, Bobcat, Palfinger, Steel, MAN, Atlas, Bell, Bomag, Wirtgen GmbH, Joseph Vogel AG, Ham AG and Myla Kipper. Thanks to this huge vehicle fleet, players can look forward to proving their construction skills in more than 70 challenging missions. Starting with smaller gardening works and delivery contracts, the construction of single-family homes and apartment buildings, high-rises and industry halls, up to road construction and bridge building missions. The huge and free accessible game world of Construction Simulator 3 Console Edition is offering long-lasting construction fun for players of all ages. Construction Simulator 3 Console Edition is now available for €14.99, $14.99 USD, as a digital download on the PlayStation Store and the Microsoft Store. The digital download version of Construction Simulator 3 for Nintendo Switch, as well as the cartridge version of Construction Simulator 2 plus 3 Switch Edition, will be published later this year. So that's the bump out of the way. That's the information. That's the press release. I've had a bit of a look through that. Obviously you can see I've already got a profile set up there, MrSealyp, Big Beard Inc. This is, what's the best way of putting it? To start off with, it's fairly heavily, it kind of handholds you through the sort of setup, introducing to the controls. Now, you may have played previous versions of this, you may work in the construction industry, you may be very au fait with controls and that kind of thing, but you may be completely new to this type of game. You may have never played anything like it at all, in which case the hand holding is kind of necessary, and to get used to the controls as you go, it needs to be done in, I suppose, baby steps. That's the kind of way of looking at it. For some people you may find it frustrating, but once you've got through the initial stages and the game kind of opens up, you're much freer to do whatever you want to do after that. Am I going to do more videos than just this kind of first look and impressions video? Probably, because I quite like the feel of it. So anyway, let's get straight into this setting up. So I'm just going to go through the options available, what you kind of get. These are character selections. I say it's not a huge array. There should be, I suppose, technically something for everyone. I think they're trying to cater for as many people as they possibly can. Choose whichever one you want, and you can pick your background as well. I'll go for, don't know, let's go for I'll leave it on green. Doesn't really matter. Then if I press R1, go across, and I can put in my name. So I'm going to stick with, obviously, MrSealyp. Hang on, get rid of player 2 at the top. MrSealyp. And then company name, I'll just put it as, it doesn't matter, you could leave it example Inc if you want to, but I'll put it as Sealy Inc, why not? Done. R1 again takes us across. Now you've got finance cycle durations. I haven't quite really got to grips with what that means at the moment. It'd be different if it went up in massive increments, but you've got 60 or 90. I don't think it really matters too much what you have that on at the moment. That may be something you come back to later on as it becomes more relevant what that is about, and there is a setting later on in the game that we can access. Traffic violations, that's an interesting one. I'm going to leave it enabled. I'm going to show you something on that later on, but you can turn that off if you want to. Once I've shown you what that actually means, you may then come back in and turn it off. That's entirely your choice. And then we've got hydraulic controls, and again, this is, if you have no idea and you've never used these before, it really isn't going to matter too much which you pick on these. You've got arcade, you've got SAE Euro, and then you've got ISO, or ISO. These are down to the way the controls handle and which joystick controls what function. If you're completely new to all of this, you're going to be learning the controls as you go, so that really doesn't become relevant. However, if you're used to using SAE controls or ISO controls, you might want to pick those as a preference because it will change things. What do those actually mean? Well, looking up on the old interweb, ISO controls are, we'll click on that. ISO controls are the most commonly used control pattern throughout the world. The ISO control pattern uses the left-hand joystick control the swing left and right, and the stick boom away and close. The right-hand joystick controls the main boom up and down, and the bucket motions close and dump. So that's ISO. If you go to SAE, now again, this is what it says on the internet. This may not be 100%, I mean the controls are, but what it says, beside ISO, the SAE control is one of the most commonly used control patterns, it says, in the United States. I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's what it says. It differs from the ISO control pattern only that the SAE controls exchange the hand that controls the boom and stick. So it says, in SAE control pattern, the left-hand joystick controls swing left and right, the main boom up and down, and the right hand controls the stick boom away and close, and bucket motions close and dump. So, again, like I say, if you're used to using these sorts of controls, you may want to pick one of those specifically. But I'm going to go with arcade on this because I've had a bit of a fiddle around on both of the other ones. I haven't tried arcade yet, so I'm curious to see what those controls are like. And if you may be starting out or new, or you might be a youngster playing and you don't want to get to be too complicated. But you can come in and change these controls later, so don't think if you do this now you're stuck with them. You can then maybe later on change them and have a look. So leave it at arcade, go over, save profile and start game. Now as I said, this is quite heavily handheld and it's scripted. There's a lot of dialogue boxes that come up. I'm not going to read them all out, but I'll leave them up on the screen long enough for you to read them as we go through. But we start off somewhere in Germany. And there is our starting piece of machinery. So, welcome to Illertal. Now this is the introduction scenario, and it leads us through some basic control steps, introduces these two main characters that we start with, obviously our character that we've picked on the right hand side, and this guy here on the left. So the basic premise then being that Pete is helping out us, and we used to be a game designer and have decided to leave that all behind and go into construction. It's a big leap. So, markings that are laid down, generally speaking, when it says there are markings, it's cones or posts or pillars, and there's normally a box or an icon that shows you where something's going to be. There's a lot going on this screen when we first start out, but you can remove various different items. I'll quickly run through. A lot of these become more relevant as you go, and like with any new game and any new game system, getting used to which controls function which things takes a little bit of time. I'm still getting my head around it, to be honest with you. I keep making mistakes and pressing the wrong buttons, and that's just the way it goes. Controls on the left hand side have our menu open, so at any point if you want to check the controls, we press L3, we can remove that, so we can remove all of those from the screen and gives us a more basic screen layout. Pressing L3, it says down the bottom help L3, opens that back up again, and we can see our controls again. We've got our map icon up the top, gives us our direction and where we are on the map. That rotates as we rotate, which is rather handy. Bottom right, we've got our speed and then the camera setting, and then also just over to the side of that you see the control column, the control function. So that controls the camera at the moment. Now we can change that. If I press R3 on my top and toggle that, we can unload and close our whichever vehicle it is, the back, for dumping stuff, but obviously you can't dump anything at the moment. So if I click that, that will take us back between camera and that. Then D-pad on the left gives us a few options. We've got map, we've got our finances. On the left hand one, if I press left on the D-pad, down the bottom left hand corner, it opens up our options for our camera. So at the moment it's on tracking camera, and if I move the camera in any direction, it will always track back, kind of back round behind. I can go driver's seat, like so. If I remove those as well, I can then use my right stick to have a look around. Graphics are very clean. I've had no lag, I've had no issues. Animations seem very smooth. It all, one of the things it did highlight in the press packs was that for the first time, I think because it was mobile version before, they've actually got mirrors on the vehicles that work. So the mirrors actually mirror what you're seeing. That's kind of new to this iteration of the game. If I press left on my D-pad again and go to orbit camera, that will just swing all the way around. You can zoom in and out. R1 and L1 will zoom in and L1 zooms out. That's my orbit camera. Press it again, got bumper camera, and then you've got static orbit camera, but I think that one said it was locked, didn't it? Yeah. So I'm going back to tracking camera. I'm going to open up my menu, so you can see the controls there, and we can go up and down and around. These will become more relevant later on, well, all the time, whenever you're doing anything. Our first task then is to go down, follow the markings and park in, or not park in the bay, but pull up at the bay, and we'll get more instructions. What do I need to show you at the moment? Probably nothing at the moment, because it is going to give us more information as we go. So what I will do is just hide that at the moment. We start off with 50,000 credits. R1 to accelerate, R2 to accelerate. L steers, as it says there. Now I don't think at the moment you can turn this off, so there's no function to kind of skip through these steps. You have to start these off. So if you're if you've played games like this before, this may be a part that may frustrate you a little bit. I think it's probably the best way of putting it, although we do get paid quite well for doing these small incremental steps. I love that. Be careful you don't accidentally destroy it. Wow, that would have to be some accident. So, introducing the GPS system. Open the map with the main pad on the PlayStation controller, and there's our map. Home base is already marked. If we go across the map to the home base, and if I click X, it says set waypoint. That puts those inverted pyramids along the track that you can follow. So if you look at the map and think, okay, I can work out how to go there, you can open up the map at any point by pressing the main paddle. So you don't necessarily have to set a waypoint. It does say below there, skip drive, 0 credits. Now that's not an option available. That won't highlight at the moment, but I'm assuming as we move further through, that will highlight. And then it will give the option that if you need to or want to skip that journey. You can just end up going straight there, but it will cost you something to do that. And then enter, I think, is for entering buildings. I think if you keep your finger on X when you're over it, it will take you directly there without the vehicle, I think. But again, that's something, like I say, this is just kind of early days. I haven't got a huge way through this yet, but we'll have a look. So I'm going to set a waypoint, close the map by pressing circle. And what we're going to do is head off there. So again, an incremental step showing us more controls. To the lights as we go. If we press square, opens up this menu. This menu we're going to be using quite a lot. This gives us all sorts of options as we go through the game. Different things come up on here. So if I press left on my control stick, press X, we'll swing round. You'll see now the lights are on. If I press it again, press square, go to that, turn them off. So our lights are on. And what we're going to do is head off. Now, while I'm doing this, we will get to a point where I'm going to show you that traffic violations thing. And again, you may want to turn it off. If you decide you want to do speed construction, you may want to turn off traffic violations, but you'll see in a minute what that actually means. What I'm finding interesting, it's not. It's difficult to say. Like I say, because I play Farming Simulator, and I'm on Farming Simulator 19. Is the current iteration of the game. The graphics on this are really clear. They're really crisp. Are they as gritty? Kind of realistic's the wrong word. It doesn't feel cartoony, but it's not quite as kind of gritty, I guess, is probably the best way of putting it. I'm probably not putting that across particularly well, but it's crisp, it's clean, the animations are smooth, it's, you know, the vehicles are really well rendered, they're nicely detailed. So we will stop at the lights for the moment. Of course I don't want to break any traffic violations. So I'm just using my right stick to pan around, and what will happen is, if you take your finger off the right stick, I mean I can hold it there and just drive like that. As soon as I take my finger off, it will always swing back in behind. Oh, that was dodgy. There you go. I ran a red light. So I've got fined automatically for running a red light. What I was going to do is put my foot down. So if you put your foot down, I don't have to pick up enough speed now. What will also happen... Oh, didn't happen. Well, when I tried this earlier, when I broke the speed limit, there was like a camera flash, and I got fined for speeding as well. So traffic violations will be things like that: running lights, speeding in areas where you're not allowed to speed. It may be because you've gone out into the countryside. But if you break the speed limit within the town itself or anything like that, you can get speeding tickets, fines, all sorts of stuff. So like I say, if that's something that might annoy you and you just want to be able to bang around at whatever speed you want to, you may well want to turn that off. So if you don't know what to do for your current task, you press right on the D-pad. That will tell you what your current job is. If you're like me and you're talking and you're doing a video and something comes up on the menu and you miss what it says and it disappears, you may not be quite sure. So what I've got to do is take this vehicle to the marked area. That's what it's asking me to do. The marked area is just there. Again, this one's marked with cones. I do think this is going to be a case of kind of just biting the bullet a little bit, getting through these early stages to get through, and then we can move on to, you know, whatever comes next. Another £2 for driving into a parking bay. I'm happy with that. I think it's almost like a microtransaction thing, isn't it? It's that that instant gratification that you do a small task, you get a reward. You do a small task, you get a reward. You know, it makes you feel like you're making progress doing small steps, I think, is the impression I get anyway, you know. So the first of our actual jobs we're going to be set out to do Pete has stripped the roof. We need 2 beams and retile the entire thing. Now, like I say, as it stands at the moment, I haven't gone. I'll tell you when I get to the point I've got to. I think that's where we're going to end the video today, is with the point I've got to. I don't know if it's going to do this all the way through. I think when you get jobs to do, once you get past the initial stages, I think this will kind of stop. So that thing of showing you each time where you've got to go to, I think that's going to disappear. It's just for the initial, you know, let's get going type deal. Okay, so press on square, go up to settings, switch vehicle mode, press X. That will open out our stabilisers, opens the back up, and we're ready for the next phase. Now, using the crane you can pick the pallet up if you want to, or you can go into the menu and you can reset things. So if I go triangle now, and then with my R1 and L1 I can switch between different things. So if you've got different vehicles, you might have whatever it might be. So I'm now on the pallet, press X, and then if I press up I can reset that pallet, and that will write the pallet. So if you do knock something over and you decide, I haven't got the time, or I don't want to write it myself, whatever, you can reset things. I think it might be the same with vehicles. If you might roll a vehicle over or something like that, you can reset them. So for a better view, use the left paddle. Takes us to our camera options again. So left on the D-pad, I can go across to static orbit, which at the moment is still locked, but we can go to hook camera, which takes us direct to here. So our right stick controls the camera or vehicles functions, which we kind of looked at already. So by pressing R3 we'll switch between those. So what I'm going to do is open up the menu so we can see that. So I've now got two stick options down here. At the moment my right stick is on camera. If I press R3 I've now got that on controls. So I've got my left stick and right stick controls, left stick controls, as you can see down there. And again, I think the longer you play it for, the less you're going to need those, I think. So we've got to open the boom up. It says, why is that not going? Well, this might be because I've got it in arcade mode, but there we go, that would be why. I need to open it up first before I can actually do any of the functions. So, let's open the crane up. Right, so as you see, once you open it up, other options become then available. When we open that up, then all the functions become available. Right, so on my left stick, I've got my side-to-side rotation. I've got my up and down on that section of the boom. Then on my right stick I've got in and out. Actually, let's turn that around a bit so you can see. We've got our in and out of our crane, and this will be different for various different booms. You have buckets and all different things, but these controls will be there if you want them open by pressing L3. And we've got our up and down on that section of the boom as well. So what I've got to do now is get to the pallets. Now on the ground you'll see that marker moving. That just gives you a bit of an indication where you need to go to. It also gives you a direction of which way you need to go. So you see the little yellow marker on that? That tells you which way you need to go with your controls. Go up a little bit, and then when it goes green, I'm okay to hook up. Press X, and I've hooked up my pallet. Okay, so let's lift this up. Now it does say at the bottom I can rotate the cargo if I want to as well. So if you get to a position where you're trying to load up and you might have multiple pallets and it's not quite in the correct position you want it to be in, let's bring that in a little bit more, I think. Let's swing that around. If that's slightly twisted, I might decide then I want to change it. So circle on my left stick will give me my rotation options. So like that. Let's drop that down. Might want to put the boom out a little bit. It depends how precise you want to be, because it will give you the unload option at some point. Will come up. So press unload now. There we go. First pallet unloaded. And move on to the next one. And again, these sort of controls you'll get used to using two joysticks together. I'm still trying to get the hang of all this. Hook up. Then rotate the pallet around a little bit if I want to, which I think I will. You see at the bottom the marker's showing at me I'm kind of over the thing, not perfectly lined up, but drop it down, boom out if I want to be precise. But if I unload it, it gives you a bit of leeway, so it will put it into place if you need it to. Okay, so we need to secure the cargo. So we're back to using that square function again. If I press square, it gives me that option to go across there, toggle load securing, closes it all up. Load is now secure. Now I can retract the crane myself, or you can go into the menu and you can do a reset. So what I can do now is press that, go down to reset vehicle, and it puts the crane away for you. So if you don't want to go through the option of having to do that, now I need to switch back to driving mode. So it can get, it's a little bit, I say a little bit fiddly. When you start out, it's a little bit fiddly. Because it's got to show you all the controls, but I think once you get used to it, you're going to start bouncing through the menus. If you think about any game you play, realistically, any game that's new that you start out playing, there are loads of controls, loads of options, loads of things to be doing. It can get a little bit complicated and a little bit overwhelming when you start out, and I think it's another reason why this kind of initial system works well, because it is baby steps. It is that kind of, you know, it handholds you all the way through. I know I've said it a few times now, but there are pros and cons to that, and I think because there are a lot of controls to get your head round, it's probably quite handy to have, in all honesty. So now we need to go through the process of unloading. I think we only unload one of these at a time. If I go to square, settings, switch vehicle mode, so we stabilise it all again. So we need to release the cargo, otherwise we can't unload it technically. So put the sides down there, and that's telling me what I've got to do. So this is what I've got to do. Destination marked area over there, 1 pallet of wood. That's all we've got to do at the moment. So the pallet of wood. Now what I want to do to get this a little bit easier for me, if I press my R3, I've changed that from the controls to the camera, because I want to swing around to a position where I can see, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit, try and make this a little bit easier for me. So you can at any point move the camera around to make it a little bit easier for you to do whatever you're going to do. Do it again, and let's get this open. So again, as soon as you open it up to a certain point, more functions become available. So we'll get it to there, and we'll open it out to there, then all the functions will become available, and then we swing around. So we want the back, the pallet of wood. Now anywhere in that marked area, it doesn't matter. So again, looking at the ground, I'm following my yellow marker. What I'll do is just swing around so we can see it a little bit better. Bring that down and unload. Done. Now onto the roof beams. So this is where we start the construction process. We've got to take 2 roof beams up and put them into place, and then there's the other pallet that's going to go up there, and it gives you a marked area of where it's got to go. When you get to that point, it will go green when it's in a position for you to unload. So what we'll do, swing that across until we get over the pallet, over the beam like so. Come up a bit till we get the green icon come up. Hook up. Now same with this as well, you can rotate these if you need to. Once we get over in the right place, we should be alright. Let's move it out a little bit. Bring that down. I need that to go green, but I'm obviously not quite in the right place. There we go, right, that's just gone green. First one in. Across a little bit that way. And there we go. Now I have to say, I have used the 3 different settings now. ISO, SAE and arcade. I've got this on arcade at the moment. It's not actually, there's not a huge amount of difference, and like I say, because I'm not particularly au fait with construction machinery or anything like that, it's actually not too bad. Those controls will become more easy to understand. There we go. There we go. Green. Posts are done, and then we move on to. Let's swing it round that way first. Then bring that in. Get the other pallet. Put that in place. Now I'm going to go through the first few steps of this. This will move on in a minute. It will show some more menu options, and I think it then gives us an option to go and pick up a new piece of machinery. That's where I'll end the video, because this is, like I say, this is just first impressions, what the game kind of, there's a lot more to it. And like I say, am I going to do more videos? I think I probably am, because I'm quite enjoying this. There's something very satisfying about doing it, you know, getting it right. He says, let's swing the camera around because I don't seem to be in the right place there. Right, drop that down. There we go. Hook up. If you're kind of fastidious, I think it's one of those ones as well that you're gonna have to be very patient. It's not going to be it's not going to be speed construction. You know, you've got to take your time. There are a lot of setting options we're going to get to in a little while. So if there are certain things on it when you initially start playing that you're not happy with, there are a lot of settings you can change. What I'll do is move the camera again just so we get a better angle on that. And that is giving me the option on green already, so if I just do that, and we are delivered. So I can retract the crane, or I can do it automatically. So what I can, if I want to do, is I could do all of this manually, bring the whole crane all the way back in, fold it away myself if I want to do that. So if you want to go for a kind of more realistic approach on operating the machinery and that kind of thing, you could do it like that. I'm just thinking actually on this one, yeah, it's only hooked. It's not like I say a cab camera. It wouldn't be a cab camera. So if I go now to this one and do reset, it automatically puts it away from me, which makes life a lot easier. So now we get to open the company menu, and this is where it gives us a few more options and an insight into what we can be doing. So if I press options button, so in the company menu we've got jobs. So that's jobs we're currently doing, jobs that we may want to do. We've got the motor pool where we can check on our current amount of vehicles and individual use, running costs. The vehicle haul, we can store vehicles away and repair them. We've got a map icon. Management one hasn't opened yet. There's profile, so you can go and change profile things, look at your stats, that kind of thing. There's bank one, we can take out a line of credit. That only unlocks at certain points. I think level 5, 10 and 15 I think it is. And you can take out 50 grand, 250 grand and $1 million I think it is, but only once you get into a point where you know you've opened up enough of the game. Credits are to the people that have helped out and that kind of thing. Settings, so the settings menu here. Now what I did was I had to play through to this point, because on here we've got music volume. All the way through up to this point there's music playing. Obviously when you're making videos you can't have the music playing. So I had to get to this point to be able to turn that off. You can change your effects volume, minimap fading, reverse gear. Hydraulic controls, as I said, you can change them in here, so if you decide you want to change them to something else you can change them in this menu when you get to it. Steering sensitivity, you can turn it up or down. I think that will be the same for the crane as well, so if you turn it up, if you're finding the crane's quite slow, I think that will do that too. We've got the finance cycle, so if you find that 60 or 90 isn't the way you want it, you can switch it to the other. Traffic density we can change, so it's default at the moment. You can have it on medium traffic density or low, so if you find there's too much traffic, it's getting on your nerves, whatever, you can do it, but you can't turn it off completely, but you can turn it low. Traffic violations, as I said, if you want to speed everywhere and you don't want to keep getting speeding fines and going through red lights and stuff, you can turn that off if you want to. And then you can change your speed indicator from kilometers an hour to miles per hour depending on where in the world you are. You might want to have it set to how you're used to having it. And then you've got visual help for cargo objects. You can have it enabled or disabled. Notifications always on, just once or never. So again, if you're finding the notifications are driving you up the wall and you don't want to have that on, it's good that it's an option in there that it's not there all the time. If you don't want it to be on, it's entirely up to you. So that's it for those settings. We go back, and then we've got save, so you can save your current progress, and then your profile selection will exit and take you back to the profile menu at the start. So we'll come back out of there. Rest of the premises we're going to deal with tomorrow. Park the vehicle in the parking lot. So what I need to do then is switch vehicle mode, pack it away. So we've gone from crane now back to vehicle. Just turn the menu off. Oh, what I'm going to do, I might as well back up. There we go. So we have leveled up. That does come with some additional extras. Just gives you a bit of information about how long each different thing's taking you to do. You can get different XPs and bonuses for doing things like that. That's the job report. So, if we open this menu now and we go to profile, which is just there, we can develop new skills with each level, and because we've just gone up a level, you get progress points. So if we go to skills, and it tells you now I've got available skill points down the bottom, 1. And then we go to the right hand menu, we've got money XP, we can use it to provide additional experience points and money whenever you complete a job. Business skills offer various discounts on transactions. Earth moving skills allow you to increase your capacity when filling your dump trucks or your excavators buckets. Transport skills provide convenience features as well as discounts on delivery services, and wear skills provide opportunities to decrease your monthly vehicle maintenance costs. So as you progress through the game, you'll get new available skill points. You can come through here and increase your different skills. I'm going to go with the money one. So if I go across on my right stick to number 2, my available skill point has gone from the bottom up to there. If I now go down and press, I can come off that and go to another one if I change my mind, but if I go to confirm, I've now used that skill point. Come back out. So, on to the next job. Now, we're not going to start the next job yet, but it does say there the new backhoe should be ready to be picked up from the vehicle dealership. Let's drive over there, open the map and set a waypoint. So we're going to open the map up, again pressing the paddle. Main dealership was where we started off, so we'll click on that. Set a waypoint, or it now then says skip drive. So I can skip the drive over, or I can go enter, which I think will take me directly there. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to go about doing that. We're going to enter, which takes us to the vehicle dealer. So buy the backhoe. Select the options icon, then confirm purchase. Now I wanted to jump straight to this because this now will show us a lot of the vehicles that are available, and that's the kind of thing that... Now the backhoe is what we're going to be picking up, but Bobcats, S550, T590, we've got a Bobcat excavator, case mini wheel loader, telly loader type thing. We've got a couple of rollers. I always refer to them as steam rollers. They haven't been using steam for years, but rollers. So we've got smaller rollers, new truck, moving on to larger rollers, compactors, another truck. Then we've got dump trucks, larger tractor unit. I think that one's got a crane on the back of that. Cement mixer, concrete mixer, larger excavators. We've got graders, so when you're doing roads and construction work, asphalt pavers, there's a load of stuff in here. vehicle transport, low loaders, lead pair cranes, like tower cranes, and the stuff that's locked, which as we move through will begin to be unlocked. Larger wheel loaders, larger excavators, mobile cranes, flatbed trucks, dump trailers. We've got some big old dozers, bigger dump trucks, some cat ones. A case one, I think it is, isn't it? Oh, no, it's a bell. Like huge cat dozer, lead pair, bigger cranes, and then we've got these, the cold planers. These are the ones you see, I think, that scrape the old tarmac off the ground. So they scrape the old tarmac, and then you would put that into a trailer, then you relay the new tarmac or asphalt. Another lead pair crane, concrete dump. I just think the potential for what we can do moving forward, rotary drilling rig, the jobs and contracts, I think are going to be fantastic as we move forward. Then right at the very end, you've got a Donada. Don't know why that's at the very end, but it is at the very end. So we're going to go all the way back, because what we're here to pick up is the backhoe. Which is all the way back here. There's a lot of equipment. That's the one we want, so we click on that. Now at the moment it's not showing prices for anything, but if you click on options it tells you what it costs. The rental on these is quite expensive. That says rent per minute, 96 credits, so to rent it per minute, but 43 grand to buy. But come off that, ours is the backhoe. Apparently we've already bought it. Rent per minute is 0, purchase is 0, so we're just going to get our backhoe. Do we really want to buy this vehicle for 0 credits? It's free, of course we do. And then we come back out of this menu. And there's our new cat backhoe. Task completed. So now we have 2 vehicles of our very own. Exciting times. Okay, so what will happen now is we'll take the backhoe and we'll go back to the main yard. But I think that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. This initial kind of, it was just to have a look at the controls, look at the options. I think the potential moving forward for this game is going to be huge. And as I said earlier, I think I might have mentioned it. Am I going to do more videos on this? I think I might, you know. I think the crossover between Farming Simulator and this, there are a lot of similarities, a lot of things that you can't do on Farming Simulator. Obviously you're going to be able to do on here, and obviously Farming Simulator's farming, but I don't know, I just think there's a sort of challenge to gradually move through and build up to bigger and bigger equipment, and starting off doing gardening projects up to bridge building and building tower blocks and that kind of stuff. I think it's going to be really quite cool. Now, how did I do this before? So press triangle, then right one takes me over to the backhoe. Press X on that. Now we go up, get on the backhoe, press X, and then it's now telling me what my next job is. I've got to take it back to the construction site. Let's move our camera around, zoom in a bit, and there's our new backhoe. I won't go into the controls and stuff on this yet, but I will be driving that back to the dealership. And there we go, that's the kind of it. That's initial impressions, though. I like it. I do. I think it's, you know, in these troubling times we're in at the moment, it depends when you're watching this video, but in light of the current world climate, and people are at home a lot more, and people are self-isolating, and, you know, social distancing and that kind of thing, finding something new to play, something that's going to keep you engaged, and a challenge to build through and work through, I think this is a nice game to do it. You know, you can do it at your own speed, your own progress. Yeah, I like it. I think it's good. It shows a lot of promise, I think. I know it sounds a bit kind of arrogant, but it does. I hope you found this useful and informative in some way, shape or form. If you have, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.